The first thing I want to talk about in this episode is Stephanie still. I still can't believe it hasn't been revealed that she's not actually Stephanie yet. It's pretty weird that she's just going along with it. I think at this point, if she's doing this and committing to it this much, and to be trusted by Lance and know him quite well, she's got to be quite high up in the Commonwealth, which means pretty friendly with Pamela, who is the highest up there. Just to quickly go over it so that you understand what I'm talking about, basically the actress for Stephanie, who was confirmed and announced to be Stephanie, isn't playing Stephanie. Instead, she's playing some currently unnamed secretary character for Pamela. She asks about Eugene, she seems worried, and when in front of him, nervous. Recognised it was him, but couldn't say anything. It's like she's not allowed to see Eugene, whilst this person is pretending to be Stephanie. And when you go back and watch literally any scene with this fake Stephanie now, it does just seem really superficial. Like I said back in my video for episode 5, it's like they've created the perfect version of a girl for Eugene. She likes everything that Eugene likes. She acts like someone he's known for years. She agrees with everything he says, so that he's comfortable enough to reveal information. It's clear that this person they've trusted to play Stephanie for some short amount of time is someone quite high up who has a connection to Pamela and Lance. There's trust there for her to do that. Meanwhile, the real Stephanie that we were expecting to see when season 11 started is being held back, not allowed to see Eugene. There's a chance her name isn't even Stephanie in the show, and she formed some kind of connection whilst just having the purpose and intent to get stuff out of Eugene. Now it's come to Eugene finally arriving at the Commonwealth. They've just given the actual person called Stephanie to her. Either way it goes, one option or two option, it's not the real Stephanie. The person that Eugene was speaking to was this person. At first we could assume this weird change as her just playing the voice on the radio, but then they added her as an actual character in the show, and she acts all nervous and wants to know about Eugene, so that confirms it. This is the real Stephanie. This isn't.
All settling in okay?
Okay, I want to see Eugene. Look, just say you want to see Eugene and move on. The reason she still had to go out and clear walkers with Eugene is because she's learning from him, seeing if he complies, how he complies, what he's thinking. That's how Mercer found them so quickly in the radio room. Remember, the one thing that Eugene lied about was his community. He said he had a settlement with Yumiko, Ezekiel, and Princess. The one thing that he lied about was Alexandria, though. That's why they've tweaked it and added the fake Stephanie. That's the only real way they're going to get it out of them. I mean, what essentially led to Eugene telling about Alexandria was being in his cell because of what happened with Sebastian. Let's get on to Sebastian. So basically, with Eugene and fake Stephanie being on walker watch, they have to clear out walkers in the areas that they're told to, because this is going to be used for future residents there, working to pay their fine. Lance sends them off, and in doing this, they see Sebastian and his girlfriend having a little disgusting fucking whatever you call it, and they see walkers approach. They save them, and it's Sebastian. So he's Sebastian about it. He's just a total... Firstly, we see how far Eugene has come. Sebastian calls Stephanie a bit. Eugene punches him for it. Abraham would be so proud of him right now. But after he punches him, Lance and Mercer run over out of nowhere, and we know they're not scared of Sebastian directly, but he is Pamela's son. Him being upset at you would mean Pamela being upset at you. They 100% don't believe his little story that they attacked him, but they have to punish them nonetheless. I have a lot of reason to believe that this was just a setup, and it has everything to do with this fake Stephanie, because this fake Stephanie is all about getting the actual community that he's from out of Eugene. This doesn't mean that Pamela or even Sebastian himself knew about this setup, but Lance did. It's very clear, just from the short time we've seen Lance on screen, that he's the puppeteer of the Commonwealth. He climbs the ladder in his own way. He's got his own show going on.
Stephanie, Eugene, I'd like you to clear the area up along the north fence line. Can you show him?
Yeah.
That's exactly where Sebastian was. He didn't anticipate that Eugene would punch him, but that he would bother him, because he was already affected by, as Sebastian said, the nasties being near him. He knew that them being near Sebastian would bother him and land him in a cell, which is how he got the information out of Eugene at the end of the episode. He also made sure that Ezekiel and Princess were away from this incident when it happened. Straight after it happens, Lance and Mercer run over like Lego men. And then Eugene is put into a cell and pretty much given no choice but to say where Alexandria is. It was either that or stay in a cell for a really long time and completely surpass the opportunity to save his friends back home. What I really love about it, whether it is directly referencing it or not, is Eugene is put into a cell for punching Sebastian, and we know Sebastian is in a cell for years at the end of the Walking Dead comics after killing Rick Grimes. The moment Sebastian appeared for the first time on screen, there was this weird kind of ambience about the scene where Eugene asks,
"Who the hell was that?"
This is way too far-fetched for me to say this right now, but I do hope it's not setting up some future symbolization symmetry where Sebastian will be in a cell instead of Eugene for killing Eugene. He's had such great development, and I'd say he's worthy of getting that death. I think he still has to make progress to get to that level of Rick and Negan, because they're the only characters even nearly worth it. Daryl can't get it now, unless the spin-off is a decoy, like I've said, but it's likely not. In the comics, Eugene is known for building the train track, rebuilding it, and having a train system, so he could do that and then die after having that fame, being known for that. I hate to like this rivalry we've got already with Eugene and Sebastian, because you just don't want to be on Sebastian's bad side, not because he's scary, but because of what we know he does in the comics. For him to have an actual personal altercation with a character already, I don't like that at all. I mean, I love it, but I don't like it for the character. It's all been part of Lance's plan. It's clear he's got a much bigger picture going on, which leads us to the next topic in the video. We're still on Lance, but something quite a bit bigger than Sebastian ruining his little fucking disgusting picnic with his stupid fucking girlfriend Kaylee. When Yumiko confronts Lance about the restraining of her brother Tommy, Lance continues to be quite accepting and happy about it, saying it'll be out soon. Yumiko asks, what are you getting out of all of this, being so happy to help us? And Lance says this.
A friend in high places. Someday I might need a favor, and you might be favorably inclined. So what do you say?
So his response to Yumiko asking what's in it for him is a friend in high places. I just want to straight away get out of the way that he's not talking about Yumiko being a lawyer and doing shit for him, because he decides who the lawyers are anyway. He's the director of operations in the Commonwealth. He is as high up as he needs to be if he's not the leader of the Commonwealth. He's just under Pamela. He's talking about a friend in higher places that he can do something for to get something back in return. So to put it simply, he's pampering this group more than any other group they've encountered, because he's got a friend in higher places who would appreciate that if they found that he gave this group such treatment. Maybe he could get a favour one day. I'm going to put this very simply, because I know it's going to sound really annoying, really wild, and really stupid, but he knows Rick. In a nutshell, he's just revealed that the reason he's being so smiley and perfect to these people and doing everything he can to twist legs and turn blind eyes to them, in hopes that these people he's treated so well will put in a good word to someone that they're close to. Now, Yumiko never met Rick. This is just the conversation that happens to reveal his intent and his motives. When he says, maybe you could do me a favour, put in a good word, he's addressing the whole group. He's being nice to all of Rick's people. Now, the reason we're jumping straight to the CRM stuff and assuming what he's talking about here, I don't think a lot of people realise how next up that is. That's what we go to next after the Commonwealth, in both senses, in the story and in power. After Pamela, it's the CRM. Any friends in higher places has got to be the CRM, unless there is some unknown, unestablished place more powerful than the Commonwealth that happens to have someone in it connected to one of the characters we already know. What this is doing, by Lance mentioning this, we're finding that he is in some kind of contact with the Civic Republic military. We know for a fact there is no direct alliance yet, because we already know it's the alliance of the three. The three circles in the CRM symbol in the logo are obviously three different parts under the alliance of the three. The Commonwealth is absolutely 100% not a part of that yet. Now, the fact Lance has mentioned a friend in higher places means someone at the CRM knows about it, but the CRM as a whole don't. This is teasing a future confrontation. What we're actually seeing in World Beyond right now is one of the places under the alliance of the three essentially die out, which means the Commonwealth would be up for that position. They'd be available, which would make a lot more sense down the line on how Rick Grimes is found out, and how the Commonwealth and the CRM are able to coexist without knowing about each other. That's crazy. It turns out they likely do know each other. Some of the Negan and Maggie scenes in this episode were nice to see. I loved that Negan mentioned Gracie because of course that's literally a saviour's daughter. It's incredible to me how Maggie failed to defend their side properly. She just kept saying, well, our people had families, they had families of people that you killed. Even after Negan mentioned Gracie, she still just kept repeating the point of, well, there are no families in the outpost. It's weird because some of what she said was really good, like when she said that you did it in front of their families. Negan defended his side really well by just stating facts. Honestly, they did take out an entire outpost and even burn 2 of his people alive.
There were no children at the satellite station, no families.
And where'd Aaron get Gracie? They had friends, they had girlfriends.
You killed people who had families.
Listen, Missy, you've said that twice now. In this episode, Negan reminded me a lot of his comic counterpart, and it was after he shook Maggie's hand where he let go of that paranoia, and it really did him good. Like, I think this episode was essentially the last of that tension, but it made it very obvious that just because the tension is over, it could just take another thing that Maggie doesn't like, or another thing that Negan does that is questionable, or gets someone that she loves killed. Just because they shook hands and the tension is over for now doesn't mean it can't be opened back up again. I liked parts of the scene where he was teaching Maggie the Whisperer ways. It was a bit cringy. I like that she didn't like it at first. I like how they're using remnants of the Whisperer's story arc. It's not like it ended and they just forgot it. Negan's using techniques that he learns from it. We saw a small group of Whisperers back in episode 5. It's just good to see that they don't act like it didn't exist. Then at the end of the episode, Negan, Maggie and Elijah bring on the herd to the Reapers at Meridian. And in the herd, Elijah sees his sister. That's been something that I've been looking forward to seeing, the answer to where his sister's been. Just the episode before this, we got Kelly and Connie reuniting, but with Elijah, he's not been as fortunate. He sees his reanimated sister walk out in front of him in the herd. That was the only importance with his story, and now that that's happened, I feel like he's 100% free to be killed, just like the other wardens that were useless because they had nothing to him. Elijah had something to him, but that's done now because his sister's dead and he doesn't wear his mask anymore. His mask and his sister were 2 things that made his character slightly interesting. Both Elijah and the Reapers stopped wearing their masks as well. I mean, with the Reapers, you could say they did it at first to cause fear, but with Elijah, the best reason I draw it down to is he's just got less scared. This could be something that he did when he lost his sister. He lost it in the Reapers' ambush, and the moment he draws closer to the closure on his sister, he doesn't have that mask anymore. I did like Maggie in this episode because it was a lot less obnoxious as it has been in previous episodes. I like how she comforted Elijah. I think she was good this episode. Got those PlayStation 2 graphics. Overall, it was a good episode and I enjoyed it. It was cool to see Sebastian, but I guess it's going to take some getting used to. It's a cool adaptation. It's not what I pictured at all. I pictured something like Joffrey from Game of Thrones being like Sebastian, but I guess he is like the American Joffrey, really, isn't he? I'm really excited to see him interact with Negan and Daryl. That's why it's so entertaining having such an unpleasant, hateable character on the show, because you get to see that. So that should be good. And honestly, if he does kill a big character and Rick Grimes' comic death happened in the main show, and is not saved for Rick in the movies, then so be it. I think as awful and as enraging as that would be, I think that's what shows are for. It would be bad and a negative thing if a character dies and it feels like it was just done out of incompetence, like it was just some bad choice in the writing of the show. But if it's a character that was destined to have this death and almost become a martyr, be killed in such a horrible way and then go on to be admired, then in a weird way I'd want it to be a character that I love, because in the comics, when that happens to Rick, he's looked up to almost as a hero, as an example. I do genuinely think that Dwight's comic death will happen in the show, and I think it will be Aaron killing Gabriel, possibly vice versa, but that's what I think right now. That's what I've gathered from it. Because of how big Rick's comic death is in the comics and what it means. There is a chance it is avoided, but right now I think it makes the most sense to be Negan, because that death, what it did really is end the corruption of the Commonwealth. Rick put Pamela out of power and then paid for it so horribly later, but went on to be a figure of inspiration. Negan was a corrupt leader in many ways, so it would be really cool if years later he would put Pamela out of power and then die for it. I think there's something really, really cool about that. As much as I would hate to see him die, I think it's going to happen. There is the chance, though, that because Rick Grimes is literally in a place 4 times the size of the Commonwealth, it could still be for Rick. If it's Negan, it's going to be Sebastian. If it's Rick, it's someone else. Hopefully it's not any of the World Beyond kids, because that would ruin a good portion of my life. What did you think about this episode, though? Did you like it? Did you enjoy it? Comment your thoughts down below and all that shit. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure you press the like button. It actually genuinely helps me out and will get this video seen by more people. Check out my review for episode 6, where I talk more about these Walker people, what they're all about and their story. I also talk more about when Carol and Daryl will finally find out about Rick Grimes. Once they both find out that Michonne went to go and look for someone, they're going to know that it was Rick that she was looking for, and that she wouldn't go unless she had some solid evidence, because they already looked for years. It would have to take something quite big, and they know that, so we're likely seeing the groundwork for their spin-off together. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications on so that you're the first to see my videos, and you know when I'm live streaming. I did my first live stream the other day, and I basically played DayZ live, and when you're doing that, anything can happen, and it did happen. You couldn't really make this shit up. My name is Nicholas.
Yeah, I'm Rick.
Have you got any disinfectant or whatever it is? I've got an infection apparently.
I got some tablets for you.
Thank you.
Oops, I just ate it.
You f***ing junkie.
Yeah, your title kind of scares me, I'm not gonna lie.
Whoa. What's your name?
Hey.
So your name's Steffi. You're giving me a Steffi. Get some... Right.
Yes, hi. My name is Steffi.
Wait, you got a shot?
Don't know where. Yeah, someone shot me.
Are you doing this, you little... She's a f***ing decoy. You bastard with your f***ing shorts on. She's got a knife! Nah, bye.